Awesome. All right. So, yes, you'd said that is my jam, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember
that. So Connie Jakabs is has been a superstar. She hosts the Hope Conference, and she's also been doing the various these sessions all over Alberta and in British Columbia as well. And she's looking to take this across Canada and the world, because what you're doing is really bringing mental health, mental illness to the limelight. I you'd asked me to come on to the Hope Conference this year. And the magnitude of what that did on Bell Let's Talk, and how you opened this up, inviting speakers of great caliber, Dr. Jody Carrington, Wakefield, there are Tony McGrath, Karen from Canadian Mental Health Association, Gallagher Bird, and the list goes on and on. And what was amazing is that the theme that came out is that we are not alone. Yet, we have all the talk, we have all the actions that, you know what, let's, break the stigma, but there still is stigma that's happening. So why did you create this, Connie?
I really value creating safe spaces for people. And I wanted to have a citywide conversation about mental health and really find out where people are at. And then, this year we did it in Edmonton, and we did it in Vancouver. And what's so interesting, Alnor, is that what came out of all of those incubators that we do, that's my favorite part of the conference, is when everyone gets a chance to speak around the table and share their mental health story, share what they're noticing, sharing what they're doing. And out of that, we realized this year people are saying, I'm more willing to share my story these days, but we don't know how to support. Someone shares at the coffee machine, I'm feeling suicidal, or my wife left me, and we all just freeze. No one knows what to say. And so I feel like that's our next step in the Hope movement now, is how do we create safe spaces? How do we become safe? What do you say when someone says something that might be out of your league, out of your realm? How do we really support people? Because that's all people need is support.
That's so true. Wow. And, I remember at the conference, I had, quite a few people on the table. And again, there were so many of us that were there. Some of us opened up and some of us could not. And it's okay if you're not ready to open up. And giving that space is that that's no problem, because some of us are ready to speak about the hurts that we are all going through. And what Dr. Jody Carrington had said is we're all walking each other home. And that has stood by me. That phrase has always been there with me, is that is so true. Is that when we look at these and how we were growing up. So growing up, I grew up in a very dysfunctional and toxic environment as well. I saw how my maternal grandfather would really beat up my grandmother and all of those. And those were the stories that this is okay, this is normal, and all of those. And yet, what is that normal? How are we going to share? And so here I am. You're a cognitive behavior therapist. You going around and speaking about childhood mental health, mental illness. You are creating that open space. You are with Wellness Innovate, opening up the conversations for the home and the business. And it's refreshing to see, and it's also frightening that, oh my gosh, what is happening? But it's brilliant that, we are getting to test those waters and break and smash that stigma. So I just wanted to take a moment to recognize you for being a hero that is doing all of these things, that is really showing that we are all having some things or the other, and it's okay to reach out and ask for help. And that is the thing I wanted to recognize you for. So when you shared that my son at age 8, if I'm not forgetting, went into a rage, and you did not know what to do. And that's what you even shared right now, is that when somebody says that, how can you be there to help? What was your first reaction when your son did that?
You know, even with my mental health and resilience background, I had no idea what to do other than match it. And that's not what you would want to hear. We as humans are wired for connection, and the mirror neurons, when somebody is freaking out, what do? We try to overpower. We match them. We say, I need you to calm down. And we don't realize that it's not helpful. And so when I would try to match him, well, of course, then he would try to match me, and then I'd match him. And our rage and our anger and our yelling would only escalate. And when I brought him to the hospital, being suicidal, if anyone ever has a child or anyone is suicidal, you need to go to the hospital. And it's going to disrupt your life. But I mean, you want your child to come out alive. And that's where they will test medication. They'll be able to get counseling. It's not ideal for your day-to-day life, but I mean, your child will still be there. And here's the thing. When I took him there, and the psychologist asked me, so what do you do when your son is throwing these fits of rage? Because I didn't realize that depression, that was his way of expressing depression. Mom, I feel so out of control. I feel so disempowered that all I can do right now is show rage. I just saw this child who was being rebellious, because that's how I was raised. I was a rebellious child. But no, he was just feeling desperate and sad and depressed and anxious. And I wish I could have seen that. But the good news is that we do now, right? And so she asked me, what do you do when your son is throwing these fits of rage? I said, well, I send him to his room. And first I would yell at him, stop, stop, stop. And when he wouldn't stop, I'd send him to his room. And she said, oh no, you never send the hurting away. You bring them closer.
That is brilliant. That is awesome, because I've taken, I used to human resources, and when I ask those interview questions, the behavioral descriptive questions, past behavior is a predictor for future behavior. And so these are the stories. This was the fabric that you grew up with. This was what you had seen in all of that. And I can totally relate, because that is also the way I was parenting. And I thank you so much for being very authentic and being vulnerable and sharing that, yes. And we always talk about, and I even posted this picture where your son said, be the parent you want to be. Like, how beautiful is that? That's right, Linda, that is profound. And everybody, please, if you've not already shared who you are and where you're from, please do that in the comments, and I'll show those on the screen. I would also like you to, share your questions as we go along, because it's not only about me. So here, I will tell you this. I told you about the toxic environment I grew up. I also experienced toxic masculinity. And for me to show my emotions was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with this boy? Or now even, what's wrong with this man? Because we still have those stereotypes. We still have the gender roles that are in our fabric, in our society, and all of those. And it takes people like you that are stepping forward and sharing that, look, I am imperfect. I am going in this journey. And so here I'm going to even share that, yes, I have things that are going on with my son, being in a rage and all of those, and really working well to understand, how can I be there to support him? And when he talked about shouting back, because yes, that's the fight or flight, and it's the amygdala, it's that I've seen this, I'm not sure who had shared this, but it's beautiful. It's got the 4 animals: a dog, a gorilla, an owl, and an elephant. And when we are in that fight or flight, the dog starts barking, right? And when the dog starts barking, the gorilla comes up and like, I'm ready to fight, right? And when we are able to just say, okay, hold on just a moment, but those 2 are the first ones that get activated. The owl is the reasoning one and says, okay, let me look at this in a different way. And what you just shared, we bring them closer home, is the elephant, the compassionate one, that's saying, okay, we need to bring them closer. We need to do things that are going to glue this together. So what did you do to help your child?
Well, when he came home 3 weeks later after the hospital, he was medicated, so has medication, he has a counselor, and I thought, great, we're fixed, we're good, life is going to carry on. But when that first fit of rage hit again, I felt so desperate. I felt like, are you kidding me? Medication isn't helping, counseling isn't helping. It just hadn't helped yet. And so I just remembered what she said, just stay in the same room, bring him closer. And so I would say things to him like, son, you belong in our house. We love you. Nothing is going to separate us from you in this time. I tried to hold him, but he wouldn't have it because he was so used to me trying to control his behavior. He was so used to me reading books on how to have a new kid by Friday. He didn't trust me. And so it took not a week, not 6 months. It took a year of me showing up like that again and again, just saying, I'm not trying to change your behavior. I just want you to know that you're supported and loved right now. And while I sat with him in his storm, like I said, we have those mirror neurons. It was so hard for me to stay regulated myself because the storm was rising in me. The way we were raised, Alnor, sounds very similar. Emotions were not welcome in my house. Anger, put that away. Sadness, don't want to see it. Even overly excited, just take that down a notch, And so I didn't know how to handle my own emotions, let alone somebody else's. And so a lot of my journey has been coming to a place where peace in my heart can translate to peace in my home.
Oh, that is what it is. Because we always go to change somebody, but the only one who can change is yourself. And so taking steps for your self-care when so many times is like, why are you going for self-care when your child is hurting? But it's when you go onto the airline and the flight attendants say, put on your mask, is then and only then you're able to then look after those that are the ones that you love. And also, not only putting on the mask, but removing the mask and being open and vulnerable and saying, yes, I need help in going to the hospital. Yet that is still a taboo, not only in certain cultures, but in some faiths, is to acknowledge that, yes, your family has issues. Yes, your child needs help. What would you say to those? What would you say to people like that?
Oh, it's so hard when, your culture and, your faith community is everything. For you, I know that you're very active in your Muslim faith, right? And for me, very active in my Christian faith. And I feel like even though they're different, there's been a lot of similarities in how mental illness has been looked down upon. You just need to pray more. You just need to dive into your faith more. And I do have to say that I think the heart of any faith is hope, isn't it? And if we're hopeful, then we take the steps necessary and we pray while we do it. And so don't rely, and I might sound sacrilegious right now, and I promise you I'm a person of faith, but don't just pray this through. you need to get professional help, and you need to bring those hurting people closer. They don't learn how to come out of their mental prisons on their own. Isn't the heart of faith to bring people in and love? Isn't love the answer? Isn't love what heals? And so why would we send people away? They don't experience love away from us. They experience unconditional love right at our heart, right on the heart of the mother and the father. The father is what heals us. And so why would we not extend the same and then get the professional help? Because I'm limited. We're all limited in our knowledge, and professionals do know how to help.
Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, right now with parents and kids and everybody staying home, it is even a harder time and we are going to go through another crisis, and that is that mental health tsunami is what I've been talking about. And again, know that as parents, we all have this, what the perfect parent is, but I'd seen this post, and it was not only on Facebook, but also on Instagram, of a dog, a rabbit, and a cat. That's right. And if you zoom in, you can see the picture clearly. And when we look at it from afar, we think, oh, look, isn't those beautiful, like, you know, silhouette types for the dog, a rabbit, and a cat? But in reality, when we really look at things that so many of us are going through, is understanding that we are all fighting a battle that many of us do not know about, and how what you've just shared is bringing hope. And that is amazing. And folks, if you haven't yet gone to Connie's website, Connie Jakab's website, it's conniejakab.ca?
.com.
.com, sorry, my bad. So conniejakabs.com, it has got, the blogs are phenomenal, seriously. And not only that, like, she has her Facebook page, and she brings in this, she's did the Brave Parents Conference that I was also did a watch party and all of that, and, you know, help people to see that there is resources out there. I love that. You know, what did Fifi say? Sometimes love is the answer, but in my case, my ex-husband used hate abandonment to cure my depression. I'm sorry about that. I know it's shocking. It still shocked me as of today, but it woke me up and cured my depression. I'm so glad that you are a survivor. And that doesn't mean it's not hurting, but it's still better than depression. And thank you so much for being authentic and honest, and I value you. I call her my younger sister on LinkedIn. We first connected on LinkedIn, and I sent her the LinkedIn. So this is the first time she's joined the Facebook Live. I call her younger sister, and she always tries to correct me, but no, she's my younger sister. So where I'm going with that is that hope. And with hope, you have also created the Hope Conference and the movement and all of that. You know, I could talk to you forever, and I'm being mindful that we only have 9 minutes left. But before I go into another place, is that I would like to share that you have created this, another resource, and you're just about to go ahead and publish it. And it is Bring Them Closer, your book. And where can people find this book? Because this is a book that will give not only resources for parents, but it will give resources for grandparents. It will give resources for educators. It will just, if you are an aunt, an uncle, a godparent, you know, everybody can benefit from this. So share, please.
Yeah, so Bring Them Closer. You can find it on my website, conniejakab.com, as well as on Amazon. And honestly, if you could just imagine for a minute, every parenting psychological book that I read while I was going through all of this, because as much as we did get professional help, a lot of it was left on me to read, to research. So if you take all my research, all the Dan Siegel I read, all the Gabor Mate and the Gordon Neufeld, if you could imagine all of that, all of the counseling that I received through it, because to be honest, counseling didn't help my son. Counseling helped me. And then I was able to help my son. And so that's just something I want to put out there as an option. Sometimes our kids aren't open, but I was open. So I went. So if you can imagine all those books, all that research, everything I learned from counseling and the school of hard knock of what did it actually look like to journey with him for the last 4 years to bring him out of that. That's what I have in the book. It's very practical. It has 7 keys that I learned about connection and how connection healed him. Home healed my son, bringing him home. And now where are we? We're home. And I really believe that right now with parents given the right tools, we can see our kids come out of depression and anxiety. Doesn't mean it's not there. Doesn't mean that they don't ever experience it. I really want to smash the idea that we have that we fix mental health issues. We don't. We manage them. And depression is an emotion. Anxiety is an emotion. My son is 13. There's all kinds of emotions, you know. So we never bring our kids to a place where now they're fixed, now they're good. No, we walk them home for their whole life until we die. We never get off the hook of these things. We walk our spouses and our families and our children and our friends through sickness and in health. We walk them home through it all. We bring them close through it all. And this book, honestly, everything I learned on how to do that is in there. And I read it often over and over because I need the reminder.
So you had a question for me when I emailed you. What was that question? There's a reason I'm asking that.
Oh, shoot. What did I ask you? Do you remember?
How do you cure?
What? You are a healer?
No. Yes. Let me just, no. I do it through dance. All right. How did you, and that's coming. How did you cure or how did you?
Oh, shoot, Eleanor. My brain is
so good. So you asked me, so Eleanor, how did you, because I talked about, I've been through depression and all of that. And how did you
overcome? How did you overcome?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, because you are an overcomer. How'd you do it?
So let me tell you this. You've talked about, we are always walking each other home. And yes, I'm going through counseling right now because there is things that go on. Here, I deliver cognitive behavior therapy sessions. I am in the leadership position. And, we always talk that faith organizations don't, but that's a misconception. I know that my faith organization is big on mental health and mental illness and all of that. And so bringing together these resiliency sessions and all of that, and there are triggers that happen with things like that, with whatever we are going through right now. And it's okay to ask for help. And we are never really cured. We use the tools. And I had the tools for cognitive behavior therapy. But you know what? You shared that you look at your book. And I shared that once I said, oh, wait a minute. I know the answer, but we can never coach ourselves. We can help others. But we can be the worst. For example, my wife is a nurse. Is she a good patient? Oh, heck no. She is the one, if you get her to take medication, she is the last person, and she will give you all the facts and figures, but she will shove that pill down your throat by holding your nose, as well as education down your throat and all of that. And, compassion, oh, please, no. Let's do, I digress. Now, there is one thing that helps each of us when we're going through a crisis, and that is what you do on Tuesday evenings. And what is that?
Oh, so I have been doing some hip hop classes for Eleanor, for anyone, because movement is medicine.
Yes. And are we going to, maybe she's all talk and no action. So something.
What? Are you calling me?
Yeah, I don't know about like she used to teach hip hop or, I'm sorry. Like her, please, Lynn is perfect, okay? And she can break dance. Shall we see something over here?
Oh!
Anybody want to see something? Yes, that's very good. Yes.
Okay, well, so this is kind of funny because I've never really done this, but if you take your arm out here, where am I here? Woo! Wave it through.
We're going through the wave. All right. Are you crunking right now, or what are you doing? Well, you know what? We could wait just a couple moments. You can stand up, put your laptop somewhere, and just,
It could. Now you're gonna.
Sure.
Now you're going to see that I'm wearing my Lululemons.
Yes, busted.
Yes.
Oh, good.
If I take my arms and my body,
yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Down, bring it here.
Yes.
Woo. Bring it up, bring it back. I don't think I'm wearing the whole bra. Oh my gosh.
It's all good. And, folks, what I've done is that I'm a firm believer that, you don't have to be perfect. I love to dance. I love, and that the first day we met, and not only is she does these mental health, all over the world and everything, but she also, that first day she sings, she hip hop, she breaks. And it's just incredible and I saw that first day, and then even really engaging a whole conference of people at that event, and that takes talent. We are at 1 minute to 12:30, and if there are any questions, please do share those in the comments, because I'm being very mindful of the time and respecting everybody. And one last, Connie, where can people get a hold of you? How can you share that again?
Oh, absolutely. So ConnieJakab.com, Jakab, and honestly, Connie Jakab everywhere. If you're looking social media, I've just kept it simple.
Oh, thanks. Here, tried to get the I Am Ulner on Twitter, and I couldn't, so I had to go I Am Ulner YYC. Simple, that's not in my vocabulary. Extra, oh yeah.
Extra.
So, yeah. Thank you. Bless your heart. I can honestly say that, you're coming on board and sharing your story and sharing and normalizing this new normal that, it's great to ask for help. We have resources out there. We have people out there. And sorry, I didn't even finish that. Yeah, my religious organization, we have these mental health talks. And this Tuesday, I finished the 4-part webinar series where I was creating the slide deck. I started it off the first week, co-facilitating with the new Living Life to the Full manager. And then at the last session, it was tools that we can do every day, things that can make us happy and find that joy during this crisis. So I'm excited to share that next week. Oh my gosh, you're in for a treat, folks, because I'm going to have guests, not one, who are going to give you quick tips on what they do to bring the fun and how we can do this right away. And that was the last session that I delivered on Tuesday. These are posted, and I can share those links, but thank you, everybody. It's been a great honor, Connie, and thanks for joining us for a Chai with Eleanor. Bye-bye, folks.
Bye, Eleanor.
Thank you. Lots of love, and, reach out. We're all in this together. I am Eleanor.